Hello, good people. If you're new here, welcome in. If you returned, thanks for coming back. If you all didn't know, I'm a Niger nerd that likes to tell stories. Superheroes are my form of modern day mythology, and my favorites exist primarily in the Marvel Universe. So, I wanted to take a few minutes to chat about the best multiversal movie of this year. It was funny, it was weird, it was different, kooky, heartfelt, and it frankly blew my mind. Nope, not that one. I'm talking about everything, everywhere, all at once. As much as I love the MCU, my bias cannot compromise my ethics. Now, if you have not watched the movie, pause this video, save it, and continue from this point later, because this story going forward is going to have a few spoilers. You've been so warned. Here's a quick backstory on this movie. On the surface, the main story appears to be overcoming, healing, and transcending intergenerational and familial strife in an Asian American household. However, this saga is so much more than that. There are so many themes on display. The infinite absurdity of a multiverse, of multiple oddities, hot dog fingers, ratatouille. It's not just an excuse for boundless comedic freedom. It's also an argument for looking beyond the details of our present and limited physical reality. The ridiculousness of life makes it seem meaningless, and since the details are ultimately meaningless, then whatever meaning that we create and share with each other must apply universally. If love and empathy are the solution to one problem, they must be the solution to all problems. There is such an abundance of intersecting philosophies, nihilism, absurdism, Buddhism, and all the other isms that will take too long to dissect and apply to ourselves that I had to stop my geek self in its tracks and focus on 5 simple lessons I gained from the movie. Our protagonist, Evelyn Wang, lives in an apartment over her business, a business that's clearly not too big to fail. She has no time for herself or for her family. Her husband, Waymond, contemplates divorce as a way to stir her from her emotional stagnancy. Her queer daughter, Joy, wants to get away from her because she's not the most tolerant of mothers. She lives for the approval of a father that has never accepted her life choices. The IRS is auditing her because she decided to itemize her hobbies as business expenses. By every metric, her personal and professional life are a failure. When Alpha Waymond shows up, he tells her that she's the worst version of all the Evelyns in all the multiverse. Every failure branched off into a success for another Evelyn. He posits that she was capable of anything because she had failed at everything. In essence, she was powerful because her potential had not come close to being realized. And that was the first lesson I learned. Life is messy. Your spouse, your children, your job, your body, and all that it takes in and pushes out. It's all messy. However, the way you handle the messes can also be your superpower. The only limits you have are the ones you place on yourself. Moving on to lesson 2. So much of our lives is spent, or to be apropos, misspent in comparison combat. We're not happy being rich. We're happy being richer than someone else. We aren't happy being handsome or pretty or cute. We want to be handsomer, cuter, or prettier than someone else, comparing our behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. So Evelyn seeks meaning in all the little side gigs that provide a sense of importance. She wants to be noticed and appreciated for the awesome person she hasn't yet attained. As she jumps from one hobby to the other, using up energy as she expenses all these items for the IRS, it became clear to me that life is quantifiable, not in money or possessions, degrees or jobs, likes or subscribers, friends or family, but in the most scarce resource of all, time, and it's unique for every individual, past, present, or future. Your search for acceptance and completeness ultimately is on your own schedule, because you're the only one that can afford it. And that brings us to lesson 3. When Evelyn meets Alpha Waymond, she learns she can access the emotions, memories, and abilities of various versions of herself in the multiverse by accomplishing weird, off-putting, and quite improbable actions. First jumping prompts Evelyn to be more adventurous, to get out of her comfort zone, to be less risk averse. Basically, to achieve a result in life that I have never experienced, I've had to do something I've never done before. Gaining a fuller appreciation of life requires you to stray out of your comfort zone and do something radically different. Ride the waves, the hills, the valleys. Accept that life will be unexpected. Now, this lesson might be the most difficult to accept. Hang with me and we'll get through this together. Jobu Topaki, aka Alpha Joy, had a simple nihilistic ideal. Everything is random and prearranged. Therefore, everything we do is inherently meaningless. The ecclesiastical writer, that might take upon another meaning, so let's be accurate. The author of Ecclesiastes wrote that everything is meaninless. Riches take flight like birds. He had seen that all the works which had been done under the sun was vanity, a futile grasping and chasing after the wind. There are many of us that feel disempowered, having to follow illogical corporate rules, silly social stereotypes, having to work, having to save, having to pay bills, having to get up and spend a third of one's life in traffic to meet goals set by bosses we never meet. Frankly, the 24-hour time clock we follow was constructed in 127 BC. Like everything we ascribe meaning to, it was constructed by people, long dead. As such, meaning is a personal decision. Goals and possessions are a choice. Simplicity and peace are a choice. The pursuit of happiness is a choice. Maybe life was never meant to be taken as seriously as we've made it. And this brings me to the last lesson I learned, which was frankly my favorite. While Evelyn is the protagonist of the movie, the clear hero in my narrow perception is Waymond. Not Alpha Waymond, the Waymond that was willing to blow his life up to get through to his wife. The Waymond that saw joy, laughter, and fun in being around his family. The Waymond that didn't care what gender his daughter loved. He is the one that reminds Evelyn after the great bagel takes her mind that even if nothing matters, love matters and it adds value to our existence. The philosophy of absurdism here is that it doesn't matter that our lives are random, controlled, or meaningless. What matters is the meaning we give to life. So when Waymond says, "This is how I fight," he's stating that his kindness was a personal, necessary, and strategic choice. Life is beautiful and it requires kindness. Showing kindness in a world that is increasingly hostile, chaotic, selfish, and painful is, in my estimation, the most logical response. We need more people like Waymond. Heck, we are called to be and help others be Waymond. We have been placed here, whether by fate, an omniscient entity, or chance. We have been given a gift, the opportunity to love ourselves and the fellow life travelers on this planet. Another ecclesiastical author once said, "Love your neighbor as you love yourself." Our neighbors are everyone around us, not just the people next door. Instead of living life based on guilt and grief, we are called to live it with grace. It's the choices we make that decide who or what we become. We always have a choice, no matter what the corporations, your peers, or the Supreme Court will tell you. We all and always have a choice. On a personal note, a month ago, I had practically given up on putting out another YouTube video. I'd been blocked like 3 times and the last one I got out barely got 60 views. Thanks a fat lot, YouTube algorithm. The elder of my little genius giants told me I was doing pretty well. Why? Because as a fellow YouTuber, he gets an average of 30 views per video and he doesn't intend to quit because for years his parents have constantly told him to finish what he started. My little man basically called me out and stated that I had to keep putting stuff out regardless of the result. The last video I put out was blocked again and I ended up jury-rigging another video up just to ensure I practiced what I preached and to make him proud. And boy, was the little giant genius right. Showing another person some love, some grace, gives them an opportunity to show others the same. Maybe sometimes they get to show it to you. Anyhow, using my movie allegory, if the life lessons are the bagel, this part here are the sprinkles. Even though Evelyn could have gone on to any other convenient universe, she chooses to remain in the universe where joy has not fully accepted her, where her father still remains judgmental and her financial problems remain. She chooses to stay because she realizes that she still has an opportunity to live life on her terms. She chooses to love her family without trying to control all facets of our relationships. She chooses to accept her problems and break her carefully constructed rules to actually enjoy the gifts that life has given her: time, opportunity, and love. She chased her daughter through time and space. She faced the great bagel. She confronted her father, because love is meaningless without sacrifice. And I get it. If you're in a season right now where you feel you can't be vulnerable, that you cannot trust people, especially if they're giving you reason not to do anything of the kind, the people you love the most can cause you the most pain. However, they are also the ones that can mend your heart when it is broken. Sometimes we are not here to fix ourselves. Sometimes we are placed here to fix the ones who need us the most. Being a parent is a Sisyphean task. Marriage is even harder. Guess what? You're called to it because, like Evelyn, you are eminently qualified and strong enough to handle it. If your spouse was raised by wolves, treat them like human beings. If they share a rough word, show them kindness. If your children scream at you, listen to them and hug them and acknowledge them. If they are rebellious or disrespectful, show them resilient respect. This is how we fight. This is how we win. This is what we do. This is how kindness can change this universe. Vulnerability is a strength and not a weakness. Being right or doing right is not enough. Rules, appearances, titles, possessions don't matter. Voting right, going to the right denomination, saying the right things, aligning with the right group, playing the right way, upholding the right gender norms, all of this is immaterial and meaningless. At least they should be in the Niger Nerd universe. Whether they love you back or not, family is whomever you choose to love. Not your blood, not your race, not your gender, not your age, not your class. We are here to show the love and kindness shown to us to others. My homie from the same father said it best when he stated, "Love never fails. But whether they are prophecies, they will fail. Whether they are tongues, they will cease. Whether this knowledge, it will vanish away. What we know is purely partial. When love enters in, all is perfected and the partial passes away." Speaking tongues, moving mountains, raising children, dusting Thanos to save the universe, all is immaterial and ultimately useless without love. And while faith, hope, and love abide, the greatest of them will always be love. And I really need to stop here because, like any halfway decent writer, I don't know where this story ends. I thank you for supporting my channel. Remain awesome, brethren. Remember that you are loved, and do remember that this has been one of the Niger Nerd stories.